Hey folks, my name is Dr. Amy Pearlman. I'm a board certified urologist with expertise in sexual health.
My name is David Eichenberg. I'm the owner and creator of Blissful Creations. We create adult novelties, penis sleeves mostly, solids as well, and support sleeves.
Break it down for us because most people within my field as urologists are not, we may have heard of penile sleeves, but we are not familiar with them. So, how did your company and the creation of Blissful Creations even come about?
Well, it's kind of complicated. I had a father who had erectile dysfunction. So before he passed away, for about 5 years, my parents never had sex, and I saw the toll it took on them. So I was started thinking about. I knew penis sleeves existed on the market, um, but I was like, can that be tweaked and used and designed in a way to help people with other issues? Um, and so I came up with a design, and I wanted to get a patent on it. But in order to get a patent, I didn't have the resources to pursue a patent. So I created the novelty line to fund the patent and support sleeve. So I created a company to support a company. Um, and it worked, but I didn't expect the novelty end of it to grow so fast.
I'd like you to talk a little bit about your expertise in terms of sculpting things. Can you
Yeah,
talk a little bit about that?
sure. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts from the University of Toledo, where I still live. And so my major was sculpture and minor in painting. So yeah, I knew how to make molds. I know how to create things. It was a very technical school, so it gave me all the tools I needed. Where I didn't need the expertise of other people. I didn't need to hire people to make molds. I didn't need to hire people to model things. I already knew how to do all of that.
And over the last few years, how has your technique in terms of creating the molds and in terms of what you're actually creating, has that changed over the last few years, or is it pretty similar to when you started?
It has changed because as the business grew, it grew quite quickly. And so, I mean, I've always been interested in manufacturing. So I knew I had to standardize everything. So that's what I did. All the molds are very standardized. So parts are interchangeable. They're very adaptable. One mold can make an interior of any length inside. I don't need different molds for different interiors. So that's all something I had to figure out, though. And as far as I know, it hasn't been done before. So that's actually part of my patent process as well. Are the molds?
And talk to us a little bit about how people can customize their sleeves. What are the different options?
Yeah, pretty much anything you can think of. You can change the color of the sleeve, the internal fit of the sleeve. You can change the interior of the interior surface of the surface of the interior if you want more sensation. You can change the silicones that the sleeves are made out of, so they're softer in certain areas or firmer in certain areas. They are fully customizable. You can change the length. The only thing that you cannot change is the diameter because that's set in the mold. But I just added up today, we have 117 different sleeves. So there's you can if you can change the length, you can find the right diameter. That's what I've been working on lately with the series, or with the all the models we offer, is filling in all the gaps. So if somebody comes to me with something weird, there will be a sleeve that will fit, what they're looking for.
A big concern within the healthcare community is regarding materials, right? Whenever we're using devices that are put inside bodies, we want to know what they're made of. What are your sleeves made out of, and what should people know when they're looking for a sleeve in terms of
Yeah.
material?
Yeah, that's important to us as well. So all of our sleeves are made out of platinum set silicones, 100% platinum set silicones. They've all been certified body safe. We don't use any materials that are not body safe. They're Yeah, the standard in the industry, they use TPE, PVC, very cheap plastics or rubbers, but that's because they can crank them out. You can TPE is a heat set rubber, so you can heat the mold, pop it out, another one, another one, another one, another one for mass production. But those are not body safe materials because the pores are large enough for bacteria to get into. So you can never get the sleeve clean. In silicone, it can't penetrate the surface. So all it takes is warm water and a mild soap to wash off the outside or interior of the sleeve, and then it's safe.
And what lubrication should people be using with your sleeves?
Only water-based. With firmer silicones, platinum silicones, you can use silicone lubes. We have found that with the really soft silicones, platinum silicones that we use, they're called the flesh-like silicones, meaning they're used in prosthetics or special effects. They're the closest thing to human flesh that a silicone can feel like, or any rubber. Water-based is the only thing that will not damage them. Silicone, for some reason, will degrade the surface of a sleeve, even though it's body safe. I don't know why it happens. We have tested quite a few, and it has to do with time exposure. So if it's really quick, silicone won't bother it, but it's left sitting somewhere for a half hour, it will damage the surface.
And is lubrication always needed when using these sleeves?
Yeah, yes, only on the exterior. You don't put lube on the inside unless it's a really large sleeve. You have to slide into it. Then you need a little bit to help get into it. Most of the sleeves roll up and then roll back down over the penis. But lube is needed because silicone has a surface friction coefficient 3 times higher than human skin. So you definitely want lube.
You also have a sleeve line that are curved. So can you talk to us a little bit about the benefits of those sleeves?
Yeah, the curved ones are just to reach different areas. They do. They're pretty unique. I believe we are the only people who make a curved sleeve. It's a little tricky to design them to get the core centered properly. But they do work, and it's definitely depending on your position, great G-spot stimulator. And that's what they all are. It takes sex beyond what a normal penis could achieve. People write us, and you said earlier about what people are looking for in a sleeve, and a lot of people write, "Well, I want something that's realistic feeling," and that's great. You can get that, you can get close to that, but from my perspective is it takes it beyond. You can try different positions. You can just explore with your partner and really open up your relationship.
As the novelty industry is becoming a bit more mainstream and people are incorporating a lot of these, whether they're dildos or vibrators into the bedroom, I kind of think about this phrase, which is you can either get a toy or you can be a toy, right? And so I think the sleeves are a way of just becoming that toy in some
Oh
respect.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're perfect. Like I said, because you have that natural movement. Your partner's body movement is totally translated through the sleeve. And there are times where you forget you even have a sleeve on, just because you're caught in the moment. And
Initially came about your company because I had a patient of mine who said, and this guy was young, he's like in his 30s, and he had tried your penile sleeve before, and he recommended that I reach out to your company. And one of the questions I asked him was, can you feel it, or does it feel just like a really thick condom where you lose sensation? Can you talk a little bit about the experience for the patient and perhaps their partner when it comes to
yeah,
sensation?
yeah, as the wearing a sleeve, as the wearer, you do have sensation because they are flesh-like and feel. You can increase that sensation because a sleeve is not supposed to move over the penis. It's snug on the penis. But if you put a little drop of lube in the tip on the interior, that breaks that friction a little bit, so you get a little bit of rubbing, which adds a lot of sensation. You can, for the receiver, it feels like flesh-like. And it depends on what you do. I mean, we have all kinds of tricks we teach people on our site about warming them to about body temperature, which helps create the illusion.
So I want to show the sleeves here. And I was so impressed when I got these in the mail because one, they look extremely realistic. And also the feel, I
Yeah.
mean, you described it so well. It feels very natural and it feels very smooth. So I just want to kind of hold some up here. If you could talk about the difference between a product like this and a product like this.
Okay, the one in your left hand is a support sleeve. So that one's going to be made out of two different layers on the inside. So the hollow is custom cast to fit the wearer, and then the space between the penis head and the tip of the sleeve, like if you squeeze at that part of the sleeve, it's
Mhm.
firmer,
Mhm.
while still soft. And the entire thing is encased in what we our house blends called skin soft silicone. We found that to be like the most elastic and kind of it has the best feel as far as flesh like, I think. Um, and it's nice. It's for your partner has a good experience. You have a good experience because there's nothing really firm touching either one of you. The other sleeve,
And I just want to show people
yeah,
really quick. So the sleeve for the penis inside, it doesn't, the tip would not go all the way up here. It ends about right here. And then this entire part right here is firm, which is what he's referring to.
yeah, I think that sleeve, they all were cast with a 4-inch interior. So
Mhm.
if somebody was 4 inches, and a support sleeve can go over somebody while they're flaccid. If they're unable to obtain an erection, they can just roll it up, and then you kind of pull out the flaccid penis and then roll it back down. And once the head has gotten, or the glands have gotten into the sleeve, you can roll it down. It actually will pull the penis away from the body, and it holds it out there. So you don't have to have an erection or to wear a sleeve. We just have to know it when we create the sleeve, that we cast the correct size. The sizing has to be right. And we do that all for the support sleeves. People send us their measurements, and we do the math behind it to figure everything out. The other sleeve is a slightly different profile. So at the base of it, it has a taper, and that taper, the purpose of that is to negate the natural flare of a penis shaft. So as the penis gets, a penis usually gets wider in most cases at the base of it. And a lot of people, when they put sleeves on, they don't want that extra girth at the base. Some people don't like that. So I created tapered sleeves to counter that. So as the penis flares out, the sleeve comes in, and the sleeve, when it's on, will pretty much come straight back on that person. It's just another variation.
Can you just briefly explain? So in terms of the color, so this one has more of like the pink tip and this doesn't. Can you explain why one doesn't?
Yeah. So the one with the pink tip is a dual density sleeve. Dual density meaning the head is different than the shaft. The shaft on that one is like medium silicone, and the head is soft. On the support sleeve, due to the casting process, they can only be done in one color because the core is created, and then that is submerged into liquid silicone once it sets up, then it's all bonded into one unit. But we can't do two colors on a support sleeve yet. I haven't figured it out yet, but soon, someday maybe.
What are some suggestions for someone, whether they're the man or the partner of the man, who wants to introduce a sleeve into the bedroom? How does one do that? Any suggestions there?
That's a tough one. That's something, we have a couple of forums on Reddit, and that's something that comes up pretty often. And I don't know if there is a right way for it, because everybody's so unique in their relationship, because you don't want to hurt somebody's ego. I think the best one I've ever heard, as far as a man approach, now how a woman approaches a man, that's really touchy. But a man approaching a woman, I maybe because I can just really a little more, is the best one I've heard is to explain that you have a fantasy. If your partner is open to exploring fantasies, and you just say, I have this fantasy about you receiving this or doing, this, and that opens the door, and they can either say yay or nay. I mean, but we do always tell people, talk to your partner, because people will write us and say, I'm looking for this sleeve. What do you think? And we're like, you should talk to your partner. Right? Find out what are their preferences, and then come back to us, and then we'll help you find a sleeve that fits those preferences.
So what are you looking forward to? Let's say like your 5-year plan. How do you imagine, right? You don't have to tell us all
Yeah.
your secrets, but how do you imagine the sleeves that you're building to kind of evolve?
I don't know. It's difficult because I'll think that I'm kind of hit a stalemate or kind of become stagnant in my designs, and then a week later I come up with 10 new ones. So I don't know. I don't know what causes that to happen. So I don't know where they're going to go. I do want to keep continuing the idea that of more customizations and playing around with different softnesses and firmness in different areas and different profiles. But we've got there's a lot that we have already, and then like they're adaptable too. So you can take like any of those sleeves and put like the little stand there is just a 3D printed little stand. But you can also use a firm silicone rod and put it inside, and now it works as a dual density solid dildo. So the toys, and then there's all kinds of attachments we're making, so they can go on machines. They can do they can do whatever. So you have one toy that can change whatever your interests are for that experience.
So that's a really helpful, I think, thing to point out because one, it makes them adaptable, but two, if people have issues with hand mobility or just, let's say they had a hip replacement or a knee replacement, right?
Yeah.
And their mobility is different. The
Yep.
position
Yeah.
is going to be different. And so it's nice to be able to use them in different circumstances.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anything else you want people watching to know about your product and company?
The only other thing that just came to mind is with the support sleeves. The support sleeves are not just for erectile dysfunction. So I have made them to fit trans men who don't have the inflation device. The sizing is done a little differently for them, but they work for them. They can work for people who have had prostate cancer, any kind of surgery. They can, yeah, so they're very flexible in what they can help. Yeah.
Yeah, when I think about my common patient population, a lot of those guys have had prostate cancer and they were treated for prostate cancer, and it takes them a while to recover. And even if I'm putting them on medications or they're doing injections and using a vacuum pump, they want to be able to have sex that night.
Yeah.
Right. And so if
Right.
those
Yeah.
therapies maybe aren't yet working or they don't want to do an injection that night, this allows them to still maintain that intimacy and the closeness with their partner that
Yeah.
otherwise they wouldn't be able to experience.
Yeah. 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 And that's the same with the phalloplasty, people with phalloplasty. Like once it's healed enough, they can wear a sleeve, and they don't have to wait so long, and they don't have to wait for many people don't go with the inflation device because they don't want to risk it. So this gives them an option that they can actually have sex with their partners. Otherwise, they can't have it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you.